So as humans, we always been an expanding and an exploring species. Starting from the caves in Africa, we travel long distances over land and sea to populate entire landmass of Earth. Thanks to the technological advancements, just in the last 200 years, our population has grown to 7 times. And what are we 7.7 billion people doing on Earth today? We're heating up the atmosphere, and the ice caps are melting. 200 species are getting extinct every day. Our natural resources are depleting. Our energy requirements are increasing. Air is becoming unbreathable, and the Earth is becoming unlivable with each passing day. And on top of all this, every 15 years, 1 billion people are added to our population. And also we do not realize we are a very vulnerable species. So we built this great civilization for last thousands of years, and let's say a big enough asteroid comes and strikes, and bam, all that we ever know is lost. Humanity could be wiped away from Earth forever. And such mass extinction events are not uncommon for Earth. And there have been like 5 mass extinctions before, with the most recent one being wiping out of dinosaurs from Earth forever. And mass extinctions can happen because of, let's say, volcanic eruptions, because of a killer virus, or because of extreme climate change, which is happening right now. And a lot of researchers do think that we're on the verge of 6th mass extinction because of extreme climate change. So what is the solution? So what is the solution to this over-consuming, over-expanding, and vulnerable population like ours? Is it extreme population control, like what Thanos did in Avengers? Is it restricting the resources which individuals are going to use in the future? Is it like restricting the metals which people are going to use? Is it restricting the energy which people are going to use in the future generations? Is it putting a cap on industrial production, which produces most of the greenhouse gases today? Is it accepting the fact that even though we are the most advanced species with all the technological prowess, so we could be wiped out from Earth at one point of time in the future? If these are the solutions, we are going back as a civilization, and that's not what we want for ourselves, or we want for future generations to live in a world like that. So is there a better, more optimistic solution to these problems? And the answer is yes, there is a solution, and the solution is space. So space has all the resources to support trillions of humans. Forget about billions. Space has all the resources to support trillions of humans. For example, just the near-Earth asteroids have an estimated 2 trillion tons of water. Mars has an estimated 5,000 trillion tons of water. If you just melt ice at the poles of Mars, you can cover the entire Martian surface with 30 feet of water, and that's a lot of water. And water is fundamental for our existence. The water can be used for drinking. It could be used as a radiation shield from harmful cosmic radiations in space. It could be used to grow plants organically without the use of soil, using hydroponics. It could be electrolyzed into oxygen, which will be used for breathing, and hydrogen, which is high-efficient rocket propellant for spacecraft to go from one space object to other to collect resources. And we have all the resources we want in space, starting from precious metals like platinum, gold, silver, to regular metals like iron, cobalt, nickel in infinite amounts compared to what we have on Earth. In fact, during the early days of formation of Earth, because of its very high gravity, all the heavy and precious metals are pulled towards its liquid core, keeping the crust devoid of all the metals until a rain of asteroids struck Earth, reinfusing the crust with all the metals which we actually mine and use today. So that means it's all come from space. And there is one asteroid called 16 Psyche, which has like precious metals and heavy metals, which is estimated worth of 10,000 quadrillion dollars. That is like entire Earth economy put together many, many times, just one asteroid. So space has all the resources to support trillions and trillions of humans. So let's say we expand to space, so where are we going to actually live? So we could live in orbital habitats like this, so which will be built using in-space resources, in-space metal. And they could be built as big as we want, because there is no restriction of space in space. And you could build them very close to Earth. In fact, they would be like maybe 500 to 1,000 kilometers from the Earth's surface. Well protected by the Earth's magnetosphere, which actually protects us from a lot of harmful radiations. And these will be rotating to simulate artificial gravity, because gravity is fundamental for our existence. Without gravity, we'd be losing bone and muscle mass on a daily basis. And these could be like very close to the Earth. A typical rocket takes less than 10 minutes to reach low Earth orbit. And few more minutes to go and dock to these orbital habitats. That's like you could frequently shuttle from Earth to habitats like this very quickly. And Earth could just have enough people to maintain its beauty, to maintain its environment, to maintain its biosphere. And all the heavy production, all the industrial production could be shifted to space. And all the pollutants could be released to deeper space, which is vacuum, which cannot be polluted. And you could make them look like this, as beautiful as Earth, and even beautiful than Earth, with all the water, with all the biosphere, with all the plants, having all the technologies you want to support as many people as you want. Or we could go a little farther to the moon, which takes like 3 days to go to the moon, to the poles, which has a lot of water. And this water could be used to produce oxygen and hydrogen, which can be used for refueling deep space spacecraft going from one planet to the other or one space object to the other. Or we could go even farther to the Mars. In fact, Mars is a very, very special planet. It takes typically 6 to 9 months to go to Mars, but it's a very special planet because it's similar to Earth in many ways. For example, a Martian day is similar to an Earth's day. So you'll see the sun rising and setting at the similar time scales as what we see on Earth. And Mars has gravity, almost like 38% of Earth's gravity, which is good enough to sustain life without having to lose a lot of muscle and bone mass. And Mars has an atmosphere. Even though the atmosphere is like 95% carbon dioxide, more than 70% of carbon dioxide is oxygen, which could be extracted from it for life. And Mars has a lot of water, as is told. And the water and carbon dioxide could be used to produce liquid methane and liquid oxygen, which is high efficient rocket propellant for rockets to come back from Mars back to Earth. Because if you actually want to go to Mars, you cannot take all the fuel required for the return journey to Mars, because that would be so uneconomical. And it would be like very, very expensive to go to Mars. So if you want to frequently shuttle from Mars, you need in-house production of propellant, which is available because of carbon dioxide and water, which is available on Mars. And Mars is like extraordinary planet for human expansion, because it could be eventually turned into an Earth-like planet using terraforming. That means like you could go out and breathe like you do on Earth without being restricted by habitats or colonies. That is a very amazing planet. And Mars has all the resources. You could grow plants on Mars. It has all the resources to support billions of people. So all these venues together can support trillions of people in space. So just let's go 200 years back, where most of the population was in poverty. And today we have great standard of living. That is because like billions of people are solving each other's problems. And that's what we do in companies and governments, right? We get paid to solve people's problems. And that's how like billions of people together solving each other's problems, making our standard of living the way it is today. So just imagine a universe where trillions of people are working together. So that will be an amazing universe to live in. And that will be like true blossoming of human potential. And that is where our future generations would want to live in. Art, science, technology, commerce would flourish like never before. And that is where, as a civilization, we want to head to. And that will be the right path for human expansion. So, it all sounds interesting, but is it a fantasy science fiction, or is it a practical reality? So let's think for a moment. On average, every 4 days, a rocket flies to space. We already have people living and working in space at the International Space Station. We have robotic spacecraft going all over the solar system, to Venus, to Mars, to Moon, to Pluto. We have robotic spacecraft going and landing on asteroids and bringing back samples. We had people going to Moon in 1960s. So essentially we have all the technologies to become a spacefaring civilization. So why are we not yet a spacefaring civilization? So why are there no still people living in space? Why are there no people living in Mars and Moon in orbital habitats? Why are there no trillion people living in space? And the answer is because today the cost of getting into space is extremely high. It's very, very expensive. That is because the rockets we use today are expendable. That means like we put a mass in orbit and throw away the rocket which we use. Just imagine what would be the cost of airfare if you go from one place to another and throw away $200 million aircraft. So none of us would be able to afford a ticket in such an aircraft, right? So that is what is happening with respect to space. And what is the solution? The solution is to build big reusable rockets, which will cut down the cost of space exploration and space access by several orders of magnitude. And this is going to happen in the next 2 decades. And that would require millions of people working towards it in the world. And that is what inspired me to quit my job at the Indian Space Research Organization to start building teams who would eventually have capabilities to engineer the spaceships of the future. And from a land, India, which produces 25% of the world engineers, that's a lot of economic manpower. And from a country like India, which produces space missions at a fraction of cost what it typically takes by the rest of the world. And this could be funded by billionaires, it could be funded by governments, it could be funded by immediate space commerce requirements, like satellite launch services or space tourism. And this is what I think we should do in this generation. We should build these reusable spaceships. We should help create an infrastructure in space which is good enough to sustain a permanent settlement in space by using in-space resources. And in this lifetime, go live in those orbital habitats. Go visit Moon, visit Mars, eat food grown in space, drink water from the asteroids, and wonder what a great life our future generations would have, and feel proud we belong to an era which made this happen, and we all should make this happen. The future is all ours, and the future is space. Thank you.